the person that you're dating, what is their temperament and personalities? Because there's some people who will most of the time just get into conflict because, as we were saying, of seeing things from a different perspective. Just because it's not that things are very bad, but they need to tone themselves down. Otherwise, there'll always be a lot of argument, a lot of heartbreaks, if none of them is able to see things from a different perspective. Friends in Karaoke Moment, I hope you're keeping well, and welcome to our new video that we are going to be discussing on how to know the right man to date or to get married. And today we are going to be looking at do we have anything to consider when a man or a woman is preparing their heart and preparing themselves to date or to get married? By the way, before even you think of getting married, I feel, because this is a live conversation series and discussions that happen at Karaoke Moments, and we have a tagline whereby we believe life is a journey, you walk in it. So as we look at some of these things, we'll be discussing about, do we have a way of waiting and preparing our hearts to get married? And I think yes, and the right way is to do it before even you fall in love, because sometimes people wait until when they have spotted someone and they're in a relationship, be it a man, be it a woman. You'll even hear people saying, oh, that is the time they are praying for that person, that man or that woman to be the right one. I think at that time, because the hearts are already starting to warm up to each other, I feel like it's praying an answer from a prayer point. And the best way is you'd rather pray from a prayer point towards receiving an answer from God. And even from people who could have met elsewhere, other than just church, elsewhere, they could have met. And when you spot that person and you are blank, you're empty, you don't know what value you are going to consider against this man or this woman before considering to fall in love with them. So some of the things that I thought, even as I was thinking about this, it is because we've done a series of videos on, especially the one we did on our marriage. And I'm going to leave that playlist, a couple of videos for our marriage videos. And I'm going to pin it in the comment section so that you can be able to watch the others. And some of the generated questions was, how do you know the right man to be your husband? How do you know the right wife to be a wife? So amongst the very many questions that have come, today we are going to be considering about, how do you know whether the person is the right man to date and to get married to, or a woman is the right woman to date and to get married to? And some of the things that I thought is, you are checking this person, because dating is like statistics. It's like picking data about the other person, the man or the woman you're interested in, or who will be interested in you even in advance. What are your value systems? How would you like yourself to be? How are you seeing yourself to be? For example, there are a few things that are very fundamental in everybody's life because we are all different. There are some people who believe in, for them, what they call right is not what is right to someone else. Some people would value, for example, getting a man from a wealthy family, or getting a lady from a wealthy family. It becomes a very important aspect to them that, you'll hear them even saying they can't get married to a man who is poor. They can't even get married to a woman who is poor or from a wealthy family. And when you look at it, to that person, they believe that is a very important value. So as they prepare their heart, they need to ask themselves, what is the consequences of that? Is it a value that you can hold to? Or is it a value that may come and go? For example, let me use directly the one I've used. If as a woman, you're looking for a man who is rich, who has money, how about when there comes a time when this riches, he might be sick, he might be out of job, he might be out of business, and he doesn't have money? Will you still love them? Will you still want to go out with them, for example, even if it's a date, and you buy that tea? Or it has to be them to buy for you, and you can't even buy tea? So if you're considering, oh, I must date a man who is wealthy, I must marry a man who has money, or even a woman, a man, you're considering a woman who is maybe very beautiful, you have maybe certain figures that you're going with, the color, you're saying, oh, I want a lady with such shapely legs, or very brown, or maybe such kind of teeth. Have you ever considered what will happen if one day they get into a car road accident and one of their limbs is cut? Will you still love this lady without the legs? The million kind of dollar kind of legs that you wanted, and they are using artificial leg, one of them. How about teeth? What if they knock themselves against the wall and they lose one tooth, or they lose their teeth? And this is what has been attracting to you. Will you consider this lady as someone that you still love, as someone that you still want to love and to walk and be seen together? How about if they get burned? We've seen cases whereby people get into accident, they're inside a car, it burns, or inside a house and it burns, and their beautiful face that you're always saying, oh, I must get a lady who is beautiful, who is having this kind of a face, and they get burned in acid and they disfigure their face. Will you still fall in love? By the way, let me put a disclaimer here. Attraction is very important. I'm not ruling that out. Love also comes with an attraction, like everybody. Like even you hear some people saying tall, dark, and handsome. I don't know, a light lady. I don't know, someone with a certain figure, a man with a certain shape also. But remember, even if you want a six-pack man, sometimes with age, they get a one-pack, they get a pot belly. Even women with a very nice figure, sometimes even, especially when they get babies, not all, but sometimes after getting babies, they get the baby fat and they lose their figures. So some of these things, it would be a desire, something that is alluring, but you need to ask ourselves, are you considering it as a very fundamental or a wish, a desire? If this man has a six-pack, it's a nice thing for you, but is it the fundamental? Because we need to look the a must list and the desired or the wanting. Because a need is something that you feel this is a must. I must have a man who is having this and a woman who is having this. So know the values, know what you want in advance. For example, respect. Respect. Do you want a man who respects you or a woman who respects you? I remember there was a time on social media, there was going a discussion on the walls of social media, the streets of social media. I can't remember whether it's Facebook. Yeah, it's Facebook. Someone had posted. How do you want a man with money? Do you want a woman with this? And I remember one of the posts that someone posted, a lady, I remember she just said, oh, I would rather cry. She made a comment on that post. It's not my wall, someone's wall. But I would rather cry in a Mercedes Benz than be comfortable on a motorbike or something like that. And I thought, oh, okay. And they even explained, because they would rather even have fun for only a few days when they're inside their arms or being held or being taken care of by a rich man than be comfortable with a poor man. And I thought, if they think that is important, then maybe later in life they should ask themselves, will you complain? Because they shouldn't complain if you just want a rich man. And by the way, as you prepare for that, also as a lady, ask yourself, like that scenario, what are you bringing on the table? Are you also trying to gather some money? Are you also trying to come with something on the table? Or you're coming as a dependent holistically for you to be able to only be looking at the provision of this man? Because it's very respectable also for you as a woman when you're coming in a relationship. Surely you must be able even to just even buy your own makeup, be able also to buy a cup of tea when you go out or a drink, or be able just even to buy someone a birthday gift. I mean, you can't just come when you're holding your hands and everything you're expecting to be taken care of. So some things are very, very mandatory, and every person, as I'm saying, is different. Yeah, like respect, things like virtues like respect, like truthfulness, that is also wired to that. When you see that you don't mind to be a second, third kind of a side chick, yeah, or you don't mind to be a kept woman on the side. Some men also, they don't mind. It's amazing how some men are also now becoming increasingly very comfortable to be the ones who are even dating a married woman. Actually, I think me, when I was growing up, that was unheard of. But now with the trends changing in life, you'll find even a man can be able not even to shy off, can be able to uh, date a married woman knowingly even the husband is still alive. Some are even being kept even by an older woman. It was mostly, it started being seen as if it's for women. I'm not advocating for either of the two, but what I'm saying is, if you value yourself as truthfully, you'd like your man to be truthful to you, you also need then to be truthful, because what you practice, what you want to be, is what will happen to you. So truthfulness is another virtue. Maybe respect, maybe trust. Do you trust the person? Do you want to be trusted? When you say, I am going to the north to visit my friend, will you be seen going to the south to even maybe for a very different mission? Can someone be able to trust you? Likewise, before you say, I want to trust, I want to be respected, are you trustworthy yourself? Can you be trusted? Are you respectable yourself? Can you be able to remain faithful to only one man or only one woman? Or you think it is okay for you to have multiple relationships, but not for her to have another boyfriend, but not for her to have another man friend? What you want to see is what you should be able to give out. The other thing that you need also to check when you start now dating this man, you should ask yourself, what are the non-verbals? Because it's very important. Sometimes we only think of the verbals, but non-verbals are as important. How does this man treat other women around his life? His mother, his daughters, his sisters, maybe he was married there before, his nieces, maybe he wasn't married but he has nieces. When you go, maybe for an eatery, restaurant, or wherever you go out together, be it even in a church, how does this man treat other women in his life? You are able to see a clue. Or even when they comment, when they keep on saying, hey, women, I can never trust a woman. And you're coming into the life of this man, maybe he has wounds that he needs to heal. You need to be worried, you need to be concerned, and even ask him as a person of interest to you. Every time we are out, my dear, I hear you saying you can't trust a woman. What happened? Some people will tell you, oh, maybe this happened, I was heartbroken, or this happened, maybe my mom mistreated me. And you'll be able to see that man maybe needs healing before you push your relationship into a marriage. Likewise, for a man, every time you go out with your dear lady you're dating, before even you think of moving it to marriage, this lady is always saying, oh, I can never trust men. Men can never be trustworthy. Men cannot be trusted. They are always cheating. They are liars. Try to dig around that, because you might be proving yourself always again and again to be seen as trustworthy, which might bring fatigue in a relationship. If every time someone is asking you, oh, my dear husband, are you sure you're where you're saying? So maybe when you're dating, the best thing is when you see you're dating someone who has trust issues, find out. Maybe they were hurt. Maybe they're coming in with the baggage of feeling all men are the same or all women are the same. Let it be sorted at that level, because I think it becomes a burden for you to always be asked, where are you? Whom are you with? What are you doing? So we are still looking at how to know the right man or the right woman to date and to take it to courtship and into marriage. Another thing that you need to consider when you're thinking about doing that is spirituality. It's an important aspect to some people. Some people, it's very important that their faith comes as part of a must do. When they want to choose for someone to go out with, if they are Christians, they want a Christian who has the same values, who believes that Sunday is a day of worship, Saturday is a day of worship. Maybe a Muslim will say Friday is our day of worship. Some people will say, this is the way we worship, and this is because if you don't choose someone with the same faith believers, it's going to be a struggle. Because you can imagine, even when children start coming into such a family, so where will the children follow? Will they go and worship the God of their dad or worship the God of their mom? How about men or women who do not even have any faith? They don't believe in any God. So that family will have an issue. And you see, what I say, relationships, dating and relationships, people say love is blind. But let me tell you, marriage is an eye-opener. Only things that were sorted and polished in relationships can be able to get into marriage from that wavelength. For example, if you ignored some of these things and you in the relationship you are able to withstand some of these things and you're able to say, I don't mind, he can cheat me a little bit, but when you get to marriage, I know I'll change him. Or as a man, you're saying, oh, my lady, she's the best, she's very beautiful. When we get into marriage and when I get married to her, I'm going to change her. That could be a challenge right there. You might never change someone. Sometimes it can only get worse because that's a different ball game right there. So just check on some of those the non-verbals and the verbals, what someone says every time you're together. Even things like power of conflict, like when you have conflicts, even as friends, how can you be able to sort it out? How can you be able to bring it out when you have conflicts in relationship? How do you manage to resolve? Do you fight? Do you abuse each other? Do you take a break? Because there is strength in that. Because in marriage, whether we like it or not, these things will come because of different way of looking at things. You know how we say, you want to say this glass is half full of water, and someone else will say this glass is half empty of water. If you look at it, actually, both of them, they are correct. It's only that how they look at life and how they express themselves is different. So other than looking at it from that perspective, that it's only because of a different way of looking at things, then it means if you get into marriage with that strong convictions of not knowing how to resolve things, you're going to get challenged when you get into marriage. So how do you resolve your thinking and your conflicts? I remember one of my friends used to date a man, and they would really differ. They would differ most of the time. Even when they go out, they differ over a meal. The man would just walk out and go and leave my friend at the restaurant. And she kept on talking about it. And I remember when she shared with me, I said, I feel like there's trouble there, because how will you then be solving things when you're in the house and this man is annoyed? Will he be just leaving the house then and going out? And when he goes out, will he come back? And she, when you're in life, sometimes you need a friend who is honest, a friend who is wishing you the very best and who is saying things for you. By the way, as we say, don't date in secret, date in private. Let someone else know you're dating, and someone else who is genuine, who you can be able to ask them whether, are you myopic? Are you not seeing things from the right way? Are you fussy, or this is the situation? And you give a scenario. So this friend of mine, when she told me that, I kept on telling her, I have trouble with this decision making, because they were both believers, Christians. They were serving in the same church, in her church. But every time they would go out, she would come and tell me, oh, so and so left me in the restaurant. And actually, 2 months to the wedding, the man brought her an invitation card to his wedding. I mean that exactly. The lady thought, my friend thought she was dating this man for marriage. But imagine they were on different wavelengths. Maybe all these tantrums of waking up and just going is because he knew his heart was elsewhere. Anyway, 2 months to his wedding, brought my friend a wedding card and told her, okay, invite you for my wedding. I know it was very bad. She got really breakdown. She got some stressful condition and everything. We had to support her. It wasn't easy. So what I'm saying is, sometimes some of these conflict resolution and some of these things that you are seeing, they are not in agreement. You never know, and many other scenarios that we'll be looking at. So I would rather you stop, pause, and look around it, whether it's something doable or not. How about consummation? Yeah. There are reasons that people think about and they even ask themselves because of different values, either culturally or even matters of faith. Do you want to take your relationship physically attracted and consummate physically before marriage? Or do you want to wait until you get married for you to consummate and be intimate physically? This is the reason some cultures, they have been brought up that physical intimacy is only in marriage. And maybe the other person you are meeting, they don't have that value. It's going to be very difficult for you because you'll be having a challenge. So when people are dating, they need to find out what is their value, because it's very important to one person, and if it's very important to the other person as well, it's going to be easy. But if one is pushing the other one into breaking their value, it's going to hurt them. So that's also another area that people need to discuss, whether they want to wait until they get married or not. Also, some people, they do not want to do a wedding. Some people, they just want, when you agree, you move into the man's house, you start life, you start having babies. Maybe then when babies have come is when you'll go to inform your families and relatives. Some people, they believe they want first to get wedded legally before they start going physically into their marriage, before they involve their parents. And then when they start getting physical after marriage legally is when the babies will come. So please take note. Ask your other person that you are interested in where they are in. You also need to check the person that you're dating. What is their temperament and personalities? Because there's some people who will most of the time just get into conflicts because, as we were saying, of seeing things from a different perspective. Just because it's not that things are very bad, but they need to tone themselves down. Otherwise, there'll always be a lot of argument, a lot of heartbreaks. If none of them is able to see things from a different perspective, maybe they want things done the last minute. Some people want to plan in advance. If it's budget, they don't care. The other person wants to budget. All these things need to come. How about going out? Some people are very extroverted and they want to go out. Some people, they just want to remain in. I think some of these things, there are things that may be not a must. There are things that may be adjusted. People just need to discuss. So when we come to matters of knowing the right man and the right woman to date and to get married to, I feel it's a value that you've already placed yourself beforehand and saying which ones are a must and which ones are not a must. Then you start narrowing down as even you continue meeting this person. But I think when you meet the person and you start walking down too far with it, you might not be able to come out, or when you come out, you're coming out heartbroken, but it was wrong from the word go. Hey, have you subscribed in Karaoke Moment? We want to welcome you to subscribe in this channel. Karaoke Moments is a channel where we discuss life conversations and where we believe life is a journey, walk in it. We discuss everything that happens in life because we know that this life, it's just a journey. Subscribe to this channel. We want to ask you to comment, like, and continue sharing our videos. Also, turn on notifications so that every time we release a video, you can be able to receive it in good time. We thank you and we love you till we get to meet you again. Bye for now. Thank you.